I'm getting myself exposed to more K-pop again.
Oh.
And then realized there's like, you know, a lot of big ones that would go international to like different, you know, night shows.
Like BTS.
Blackpink.
Blackpink, yes.
Yeah. But then we can definitely put that into another episode, I think.
Make sure remember what you're wearing.
Wearing the same
Do I
shirt.
have to wear like? Do I have to like put on makeup like a boy band? Of a Korean boy band.
Maybe you guys can do like a choreograph.
Oh, you have to be in it too, right? It cannot just be two persons.
I have no idea. We need a lot more.
No,
We need
we both
practice.
teach you. We both teach you.
Okay, that could be the whole.
I did anthropology back in uni. I based my dissertation off of K-pop.
K-pop.
Yeah, I wrote my dissertation on K-pop. I actually went. I wouldn't say undercover, but it sounds cooler, so I'll just say I went undercover into an entertainment industry, like an actual one. I can't say the name, but like.
In Korea?
Yeah, in Korea.
Yeah,
In Korea, I went and I trained.
Undercover singer.
You were trained?
I went through the training, so I did research like
Wow.
whilst like looking at other trainees, other idols there, like and like the staff there.
Yeah, they're very serious about this career building phase, right?
Yeah, like especially because like I spoke with one of the trainees and she said, oh yeah, we have this like Kakao Talk group chat and like with like our manager and like my other like trainees as well. And like every single meal we have to take a picture of what we eat and like send it to our manager. Like so that's like as a as a
part of the
admin
job.
part. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did they actually release anything like the trainees that you were training with?
Well, I think they're still training because I haven't
okay.
like seen them debut yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's a lot. Like it depends on the trainee.
Yeah.
But like sometimes it could be as fast as like 3 months the training process before you debut, or it could be like I've heard like 7 years.
Oh,
even.
Wow.
That's like.
Actually, I'm not surprised because they started training at a very young age. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was very interesting.
Do you think they take music like because like music as a profession they would take it as a very very serious career path?
Yeah, that's something that I found really interesting because when I did my sort of preliminary research before actually going in there, I saw a lot of people were saying, oh, like some of the trainees, not trainees, sorry, like some of the idols, they're not even that great of a singer and or dancer. But like they just look pretty. But then some people are like, oh no, like they're actually really good, But then you notice like actually it's all part of this huge marketing scheme where you see them in groups, right?
Yes.
Rarely on their own. So that's the idea is that you actually have members who each have different skills.
Yes.
That's it's also kind of like your marketing like suggesting like romantic interest from the audience. It's kind of like I mentioned this briefly in the previous episode about games, but because I used to play dating simulation games, where you have a selection of like potential interests, a romantic interest. So it's kind of like that.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
To try to fulfill as big of a crowd as possible. Because some people would be more interested in people who like maybe dancing. Some people like the singing or the looks.
The way they look.
Yeah. So it's like trying to take care of like as big of a crowd as possible.
How about the choreographs? I mean, the way they all comes together. I think that takes a lot of skill. Even not knowing much about it, but it just all looks so good. That's why you watch it, right? I mean, to your point about watching MTV and stuff, because it's not just the music, it's the visuals, and when their visuals is, I don't think I've ever seen anything like that before. Before K-pop, like the way everything comes together. And
so insane can.
It's insane.
Creative.
Insane. The beats and everything. So.
I mean, I even like just me training by myself. I had to train I had to dance 4 hours a day, which was part of my Monday to Friday 12-hour training schedule.
So they actually saw you as like one of the. So they didn't know you were doing the You said Undercover.
Oh no. I said like I wanted to say Undercover because it sounded cooler.
Oh, right.
But
so
like,
they knew you were
they
there
knew,
for
yeah, obviously because of like legal, ethical restrictions, right? So like they knew.
Market, right?
Yeah, but then like they treated me like 99% as if I was an actual trainee.
Oh yeah, because they wouldn't say you don't do this, right? You do all the stuff everyone else does. Did you have to take pictures of all the food that you ate?
Oh no, that was like part of the 1% I didn't have to do.
That was just for Instagram.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's really cool. I wish I did something like that.
Yeah.
We should do a project in Undercover.
K-pop.
In Korea. I think. No.
I don't think we'll be much undercover. They'll be like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah, but it's your true intention.
No, you could be like, oh, it's team building activity.
Yeah, well, it's
for the company.
So you told them your reason of going through this?
Yeah. Of course, I had to be like very transparent.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like obviously, I wasn't trying to make a very radicalized point of view on the industry. I was just saying I wanted to like, obviously any company or industry secret, you don't have to tell me. I'll keep secret, but. But still, they were pretty transparent about a lot of stuff.
So did you like? Because I'm always interested. We all love music, but when you're up close to the actual process, did you have more respect for it afterwards, or did you kind of how did the perception change?
Yeah, I had a lot more respect.
Okay.
I was like, if I can, like, I think because in total I did 2 months.
Wow.
Of the training. Wow, by the end of the first month, I was like, I need a break. I feel like I aged like 10 years.
That's
I was like,
right?
I love it again, I think.
Yeah, because actually there were days I actually broke down crying, from the like it's not because of abuse. It was like because they were actually because this company was like one of the more respectable ones. Like everything was very standardized, but like it was, I think, because I also realized a lot of things about myself is that like if like I think like there is a limit. I know my limit of how much training, because like the goals are endless. Like once you accomplish one goal, there is like this other goal, and then it's like it's a marathon that goes on for you don't even know how long. I'm just like,
because you feel like there's never gonna be like a place where you can be satisfied, because there's always somebody better than you.
Yeah, exactly.
It is
a competition, very competitive.
Industry, yeah.
And they're all quite young as well. So would you say the other people around you also had, how did they deal with the pressure? Like, do you think? Because they're probably very, very young, some of them.
Oh yes, like I think this wasn't an actual trainee, but it was someone else, who was also in a temporary, she wasn't a researcher, but she was just in the program with me, so we were kind of like classmates. But because she also flew in from somewhere else, and she was actually 12. She wasn't actually the only. She came in with the other group of kids. Like they were like what 12 to my age.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's
like
a
that.
range, wow.
Yeah, it was like.
What was the purpose of joining this thing?
Well, it was like because they were also an entertainment company from elsewhere, so it's like they were training with this company and then just going back. Yeah, so there was a lot of that was international stuff. But yeah, I think like she she broke down crying once in like a recording session. Because like she felt that she wasn't good enough because of the amount of takes that she had to take, and then the recording director was really nice. I was like, oh no, like why are you crying? And then she said, oh, like I feel like I'm not good at anything, right? And then that was actually it turned into a real life lesson for everyone in the class, because the recording director was like, well, I mean, like this isn't the only thing, like there are actually so many things out there.
Exactly. They need to make the training harsh enough for you to be able to deal with it in the real life.
Yeah.
Because that's what's going to be happening when you're actually a recording artist.
Yeah.
I'm actually quite interested in like we all kind of dream or kind of aspire to be like a public figure, like celebrity or sports person or singer or like, but then like you hear the other side, obviously you're going to put in a lot of work, and we only see the end product, and we want to only see the end product because it's entertainment. We don't want to think about, oh, that person actually went through all the things you, for example, you just said. But do you think that, like, because everyone has, I want to like go into like social kind of pressure or peer pressure thing, we all had that at school and stuff, but this is like magnified, right? Would you say that was like magnified because they're trained to be in front of, you know, as many people as they can be, almost a big audience. So hence, to your point, like breaking down at that point is training for, you know, coping with much more criticism. Because if something like that wasn't really something to be critical of, and she was so critical of herself then, what if she was seeing all the comments about, you know, fans or the public can write anything, and we see a lot of and much more serious stuff about you know, people you know, hurting themselves because of it, and I think that's a really important point for any generation. Like, even for when I went through it myself, like it was so important back then. Like now I can go back and look and say it's not that important. But at that stage you just, and it's so young, as what you're saying, a 12-year-old being with 20-year-olds. I just think that's man, a lot of respect to the people who go through that, because you know, it's just not as easy as it looks. And, and there's so much attention and expectation of who you have to be as well as a public figure, or as a musician, for example, because people follow your music and expect you to live certain.
You're supposed to be a role model.
A role model, as you say, a role model. And this is a great. I think it's and it's important because you know, we all find role models in music figures and songs and stuff, but sometimes people just,
and with like social media and everything, your life is pretty much exposed.
I think
I mean back then when we were like still like, when I was younger, when I look at the other like pop singers, there's like a certain element of fantasy because their life is not as exposed to you. You don't really know what's going on behind them because they're not obligated to tell you what's going on through social media, whereas nowadays the marketing is so like completely different. So right now I think they really need to handle their reputation, their image, their brand, on top of producing entertainment or music.
Yes. So the private life is also a part of the job. Which is
it's tough.
Which is the flip side of it.
Because of the whole K-pop thing is so big, I feel like China is also doing the same thing. They're doing like a lot of talent show, singing contests to put together boy bands or girl groups.
Is it more bands or more individuals? I haven't seen the bands.
Bands. They have bands. I think in the beginning it's more individuals, like singers.
But also with like
the voice kind of thing. But now, they have that. Like I think Korea, there's Produce 101.
Yes.
They have something similar in China.
Oh really?
Yeah. It's like I was like talking to some friends earlier, and then they were telling me it's like on season 2 already, and then they do pretty much the same thing. They do like singing and like dancing, choreograph into groups, and then eliminate the whole elimination process. Very similar, and I think because the Chinese population is so big, right? They can always find somebody with talent. I mean, like that means this type of like the K-pop industry business model is actually can be replicated in other places too.
I think so, with a different flavor. Like it could be a different culture.
Because like K-pop has been so big the past decade.
It's sustained as well. It wasn't like a one it's about 10 years, 20 years, 10
or more than 10,
15 years.
And then I was going to talk about the Super Junior. I don't know if you know.
Funny.
Yes. I was going to talk about how, you know, they have like subgroup as well, focusing on. Like somebody's like dance music, some ballads only. So it's like just to echo what you were saying before, like to have a group of many people with multiple talents, but so that they can like have exit strategies, you know. When they disband, they can have like a specialty kind of thing.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
No, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
I think before like in the traditional like going back to the rock band thing, right? Because you would have it, but it's based on like the instruments you play.
Yes.
Right. So then a standalone, you can't really kind of do your own thing. Well, you kind of can, but you know it's slightly different. But
your identity is a group.
Yeah, it's still the group. Whereas now it's almost like it's a massive group. But you're right. That everyone is almost like can be there. But from a fan perspective, you're probably only following your idol rather than the group. Potentially, I don't know whether that's. Do you think that's that might be the case or?
Well, so for K-pop, there's this thing where it's like, oh, who's your bias?
Your favorite group now is BTS?
Like
no.
Well, I mean, but the thing is like when you say bias, it's like who's your favorite member of the group?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
oh, okay. Do you
is that the?
Do you have like a favorite member in the
in BTS? I mean, I had because I don't follow them as much anymore because it's like
everybody knows about it, right?
Yeah, it's like oh no, like damn it, like I thought because I like them. Like to be honest, I like their music before they blew up because now I feel it's more like really pop EDM. I mean, it's still very nuanced, like is their sound, but then I feel like I prefer their older ones, which is more old school hip hop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's very like it was less noise, just like a way of saying. Because,
more their own voice.
Yeah, more like like cleaner beats.
Yes.
Cleaner beats. Like there's more.
Less simple.
Like if a song was a room, it's like less cluttered.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know
So I prefer because I'm not a huge fan of EDM music either. So
right. Okay.
Back then I watched all their dance practice videos because they upload a lot of behind the scenes stuff. Like knowing the artist's life as well is also a huge part of appreciating their music.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Because like Taylor Swift bases most of her songs off of like her relationships, right?
Yeah.
Which
the stories behind.
You kind of have to, right? To be authentic, you have to go through the emotions and the experiences. So, which is why we were saying like it's almost inseparable, right? Your private life, even though it's not in the public eye, it kind of is because it's just
because in interview you're always being asked what inspired you to make this music or what inspired you to make this song, and giving that background story for artists maybe it could be marketing, but I think it also gives more meaning to the audience.
And it's also it's also not just the artist, right? So like the whole team, like the people writing the lyrics, like if it's that model, the composers, the directors and stuff like that. So it's kind of incredible. I always wanted to know more about how that whole process comes together, and then when the spotlight's on one person, but it's actually driven by a whole group of people. I think that's pretty.
I'm sure there's like a lot of communication behind the scene when they produce a song. There's a lot of communication between the singer. If the person is not a singer-songwriter, they will have to communicate with the rest of the team to give give an idea on what the next project is going to be like.
Because actually I have a friend who used to be a songwriter for like a huge record label.
In Hong Kong?
No, like in the UK.
Okay.
So like she also mentioned, I met with like these singers to like go through the lyrics that I wrote and then like modify it a bit, and then like I go in and work with the sound technician as well to make sounds that don't already exist in the software. I was like, oh wow, that's like really interesting.
It's always interesting when you come across a song you didn't know how much work is put in behind. Right.
But in that side, knowing the work behind it makes you appreciate it more as well. So I think that's I think that's a good trend though, in the way that using social media or the digital content to understand there can be good out of it. Like I mean there's definitely bad sides to it, but I think at least I try to focus more on the good side. We would never have known the processes 20 years ago. Just because it just wasn't for the public eye, whereas now you have documentaries, you have docuseries.
Documentaries also another big thing.
It's interesting. It's almost part of the product now, or part of the music, to know the story behind it.
Yeah.
So ecosystem's actually bigger.
Yeah, and everyone gets more of a say because back in the
Yeah,
days, the
yeah.
people behind the scenes probably definitely won't get a spotlight. Whereas now, you know, we're talking about it because it kind of raises curiosity and it helps like keep new blood coming into the whole industry.
New blood.
No, because like who aspires to be like, you know, like writing lyrics.
Like who is gonna join this cult now?
No, I find it really.
Do you think it's more difficult or easier to get into the industry now then?
I think more difficult.
Competition or?
Well, competition, but also like accessibility, because now everyone can like go in, and now it's like the industry is so saturated.
Yes.
Like like technically, because objectively speaking, there isn't a limit amount. It's not like the whole industry is one company and there's a limited amount of employees you can take in, which is like the hardest part, because now it's kind of like you can try to make it into the industry, but then they're only like the top like several could be successful and can make a living out of it.
True.
I think it's harder to get into maybe the top brands.
It's easier to participate,
but it's easier to enter the industry, because there's so many forms of it. Like
I mean, even buskers, you know.
Yeah, that's
they could have a very big fan base too if they if they publish their performances on the street.
If you go on in the karaoke room and film yourself and post it on IG stories, that's going into the industry as well, right?
We'll see. No, but yeah, for sure. Like you can be a normal person. You can do covers.
You can do you have the equipment.
Can create your
you
can create your own music, and you can just put it online, and people maybe one day you'll be like, you know, discovered by a record label.
And I think people don't talk about that enough. Like we know back in the days it was really exciting to have all these tools in the social media platform, and now I think we're going through a little bit of a curve where it's like all the bad things happen. But I mean, my point is always like it's good or bad depending on how you use it. And so you know, maybe we should spend more time thinking about all the good things that it has brought out. And definitely it's kind of empowered us to you know, do something like this, or you know, do a lot of the cool things that maybe you know we've always wanted to do. So living out the childhood dream, living out the Hannah Montana dream.
Being a human is hard, guys. It's hard. Be
positive.
But you do have a lot of options too, right?
Well, yeah, but also comes with, you know, the paradox of choice, right?
Philosophical.
You're like WNJ philosophy, right?
That would belong to another episode.
Yeah.